The micrometers are preset to our final measurement, and what I do, because I'm really bad at math, is I just start here and go 5, 10, we've got 12, 13 thousandths to take off of here in order, whoops, nope, we've got 12 and a half thousandths in order to get to our size. Okay, we're taking another measurement, and it's always good to take several. It looks like we had a chip under there or something, because I'm coming up with 11 and maybe 10 and a half thousandths. Maybe it's bigger out here. It is bigger out there and smaller in there. So let's just take 10 and see what we've got. Alright, we're a couple of thousand strong. Let's see what it looks like in there. Yeah, 2,000 strong. And it looks like this outside edge just a little bit thick. So we're going to go with what's in here. And I think we could probably just take it off of the file. I mean, 2,000ths is a bit of material, but it isn't like we're taking 8 inches of metal off. We're taking a 1/4 inch. Okay, that brought us right down to it. 7, what do we got? 765. 750, 65. That's it, on the money. Okay. So now that we're at our diameter size, we're going to come in and square up this outside edge. I think that did the trick. It did. A little file work around to create a radius. Draw our carriage back, or our crossbeam back. And at the same time, we're going to put in a center drill. Bring that in. Yep, looks good. Put our drill bit in that is measured to fit the tap. And we're going to take that in, about a 1/2 inch. And I'm trying to use as little oil as possible because I'm going to be brazing this, or silver soldering the screw into the little disc. And I don't want a whole lot of oil that will contaminate the process. We'll go another 8 or so, just for good measure. Well, let's take it a little further. sink it a little bit. And different people do this different ways. I like to do it this way. What I do is I just put the bit in, or the tap in. Looks like we got a little muck on there. Put the tap in. I don't tighten it real tight. I just snug it down and then put it on low speed. And I loosen the backrest and put it on low speed and just jam it in there. Oops, I guess we didn't get it tight enough. A little bit tighter. There we go. There we go. All right, we got a pretty good grip there. We know that it's square because it's set in the drill or in the chuck. Then just bring the T handle in and go ahead and finish it off with the T handle. Almost to the bottom here. I'd say that's good enough. Pop the T handle off, unscrew the tap. We've got that rounded off, we got that squared up, and we've got the right diameter. Now we're going to come in and put it in the power hacksaw and cut that off. And that should take a minute or two, and then we'll go on to the next step. Okay, we've got our piece in the power hacksaw. We're going to drop it down. And I love this big ass power hacksaw. It just cuts like butter. Now we're cutting it extra wide, mostly because it just takes a minute or so to trim it back down. And we're going to drag this out and cut off that extra hole because it will screw me up later on. Yeah, that little power hacksaw, it would take 5 minutes to go through a piece of stock like this. This thing, what is this? 30 seconds? Just chews it right up. And we have our plug, and with a rough edge on it. So now we come in. Let's turn you off for a minute. We're going. Okay, we're on the little saw pin here, and we've got this rough edge, and it's way bigger than a 1/4 inch. So we're going to trim back to a 1/4 inch, but it has to be pretty square with this inside inside surface. And so the way I'm going to do it is this is pretty much going to be an eyeball, because his job is not real intent on accuracy, but it wants to be somewhat accurate. So I'm going to take this, drop this in my chuck in a place where I think it's going to want to be. And then I've got the bolt in there, and the bolt the drill for the threading was accurate, and the threading was accurate because it was on the big lathe. Now it's just a little bit out, right? Okay, so we just come up and just tap it right there. Now it's way out. So we'll get there. Just a couple of taps. Getting close. There we are. So now we know that this surface is going to be square to that original back surface. So let's go ahead and just reverse the speed, take the nut out, snug everything down real good, and start hacking away at this. Not quite. A little bit more. There we go. We're in. Now we've got a very sharp edge right there, so I want to pull that edge and just kind of round it off a little bit. Unfortunately, it's pretty close to the chuck, so I have to kind of be careful. And then we could probably just come in and... Okay, well, my chickens are back there celebrating their laying of an egg, and they all seem to get really excited about that sort of thing, even though they do it every day. I'm going to go ahead and take my little plugs here and put a number stamp on it. In this case, it's number 7, and that tells me, or tells my customer, and we can kind of bring the camera over and have a look at the whole set of them. And this is what he asked me to build. So it just kind of goes from, I can't remember, up from size 5 to 14, I believe. And then we take, and I'm going to swing you around here. And I've been kind of working on this part. Let's get it all squared up. And I've been taking these bolts that I have with a fine thread on them, I think they're 1/4 inch, and cutting the last 1/2 inch, or I don't know, it might even be 3/4 of an inch off of them. And what that does is allows me to have, hang on, I'll go get a plug, to have one of the plugs with a threaded shoulder, or not, yeah, threaded shoulder on it. So then I just take the plug and run it up here. Now I'm going to square this part up a little bit, and I'm going to run it up in there, and probably just put a little Loctite on there, because this isn't really a heavy duty, you know, this is not going to be wrenched on or anything like that. The guy's just going to spin it up with his fingers and let it rest there. And then square off this top edge, and that'll look really nice. And I think we're going to be pretty well done with this project. So a couple of more cuts. And you know, I'm doing it by hand. I don't think I've done any hand hacksawing in a long time. But it seems to be the only way that this thing is actually going to work, is to hand saw it. And it's pretty quick and pretty easy. And it gets really squeaky unless I put my finger on the end and deaden the harmonics. Now the problem is it gets pretty hot. Okay, and I think that's number 10. I believe that's the last one. So we have a whole handful of ends. We're going to take it over to the grinder and just, you know, kiss the end of each one of these. They don't have to be perfect. They just have to be there. And we'll be back in a minute. Well, I tried grinding these little tips. I don't know if you can see it. And they just didn't come out that great. So I decided, okay, let's just throw them in the little south bin and face them off. You know, this is actually going to be the very part that this guy looks at every day when he uses this tool. So, you know, when I build tools for myself, I always make sure that the parts that I look at every day are finished well, because then I just kick myself and go, well, why didn't I do a better job? So, we're squaring off the ends of each one of these, but there's only 10, and it just doesn't take that long. And it looks so much better. I'll bring one up so you can see it. Can you see that? Well, maybe not. It's pretty small. We'll be back. So the only way Loctite really works is if all of the threads are free of grease. And the only way to do that is to put it in something that's going to cut the grease. And, you know, you can use thinner and, you know, all of that degreaser, but starting fluid works pretty good. So, and it'll clean it off. So we need to put the all of the plugs and all of the screws in. Shake them up a bit. And if you don't get all the grease off, the Loctite never sets up, and so then it really doesn't do the job. Now this is kind of a piece where it might be the most tedious piece, because I've got to pick out each one of these. Now that I've got them kind of the grease or the oil kind of taken care of, and then I've got to go in and pull a cloth through and pretty much just hand clean out the threads. And I know this is, very interesting for you, so So we're going to just continue to film this part of it because it's probably the most interesting part of the whole process. Yeah, okay. We'll be back. Okay, Nick Collier here, and we completed the punch set project. It's ready to go out. I still have to get a word back from him on a couple of little glitch parts, but everything's ready to go, and we'll probably get it in the mail in the morning. So, but let me show you where we went. I'm gonna disconnect the camera here, so I'll turn you off for a sec.
The 3 holes, the 3 short ones, the 3 long ones, and all of the little plugs that go in the bottom, or in the bottom of the short ones here. And I don't know if you can see it, but they're all numbered from 14 down to size 5. And, oh, yeah, you can see it. And we're going to put all this in the mail to him tomorrow, and hopefully, and then we'll be ready to go on to the next project. This is Nick Collier, signing out.